Tonight, you'll walk into a kitchen, you'll open a fridge, and you'll choose your dinner from about 6 animals: chicken, cow, pig, sheep, maybe a fish. That's basically it. There are over 6,000 species of mammal on this planet. You eat 5 of them, and you have never once questioned that. But here's the strange part. Your ancestors ate rhinoceros, not once, not by accident, for hundreds of thousands of years. One of the oldest butchery sites ever discovered isn't a mammoth. It's a rhino, cut apart with stone tools 700,000 years ago. So somewhere along the line, we stopped. Most people assume the reason is obvious. They're endangered. We protect them now. But that's not quite right, because we stopped eating rhinos long before they ever became rare. The real reason is a hidden filter that closed your menu thousands of years ago. Scientists call it the domestication problem. And once you understand it, you'll realize something uncomfortable. You didn't choose what you eat. Something else chose for you. Stay until the end, because the last part will change how you look at every animal on your plate. Let's go back, way back. In 2018, a team led by archaeologist Thomas Ingicco published something extraordinary in the journal Nature. On the island of Luzon, in the Philippines, in a place called Kalinga, they dug up a skeleton, a rhinoceros, almost complete. And the bones were covered in cut marks. Stone tool marks. The leg bones had been smashed open. Someone wanted the marrow inside. The site was dated to roughly 709,000 years ago. Let that number sit for a second. That's long before our species existed. Some ancient human relative crossed water to reach that island, found a rhino, and ate it. So no, rhino was not off the menu. Rhino was dinner. And it stayed dinner for a very, very long time. Fast forward to the Ice Age, Northern Europe, Siberia, freezing grassland stretching to the horizon. Walking across it is the woolly rhinoceros, 2 tons of muscle wrapped in thick fur, a horn on its face that could reach over a meter long. And humans hunted it. We know this because they drew it. In the Chauvet Cave in southern France, on walls painted over 30,000 years ago, there are rhinos, dozens of them, charging, fighting, horns locked together. Whoever painted that had seen it happen in real life. You don't paint something that carefully unless it matters to you. And in the Ice Age, what mattered was food. Neanderthals ate woolly rhino too. Butchered bones show up at their sites across Europe. There was even a bigger cousin walking around, Elasmotherium, the so-called Siberian unicorn, bigger than a modern rhino, with a single enormous horn. For a long time, we assumed it died out hundreds of thousands of years before us. Then, in 2018, a team including researcher Pavel Kosintsev radiocarbon dated its remains. It was still alive around 39,000 years ago, which means our ancestors and the unicorn shared the same world. They saw it. They probably ate it. So here's the if rhino was food for most of human history, why isn't it food now? Here's where it gets fascinating, because around the end of the Ice Age, the world's giants started vanishing. The woolly rhino disappeared roughly 14,000 years ago. Elasmotherium was already gone. Mammoths, giant sloths, cave bears, giant deer, species after species wiped off the map. For decades, the story was simple. We hunted them all to death. Then genetics complicated it. In 2020, a research team including Love Delaine sequenced woolly rhino DNA and looked at their population history. And the population wasn't crashing from hunting pressure the way you'd expect. It looked stable, right up until a sudden warming period near the end. The climate flipped. The cold grassland they needed melted away, and they couldn't follow it. Whichever cause you favor, the outcome was the same. The giant free buffet closed. And humans were suddenly staring at a problem. We had to stop hunting food and start making it. This is the moment everything changed for you personally. Around 12,000 years ago, humans began domesticating animals, not taming individuals, domesticating whole species, turning wild animals into a renewable supply of meat, milk, wool, and muscle. And here's what almost nobody realizes.
Thanks for watching Bright Seco. Which animal should we explore next? Let me know in comment. And don't forget to subscribe for more wild and amazing animal facts. See you in the next one.
We barely managed it at all. In his book published in 1997, Jared Diamond laid out the numbers. There were roughly 148 species of large land mammal on Earth that looked like good candidates. Big enough to be worth it, plant-eating, living on land. Out of all 148, humans successfully domesticated 14. 14. That's a failure rate of over 90%. Cow, sheep, goat, pig, horse, donkey, water buffalo, yak, 2 kinds of camel, llama, alpaca, reindeer, a handful of others. That's your entire menu. That's the whole list. And it was finished before writing was invented. Diamond called this the Anna Karenina principle. The idea is borrowed from the opening line of a Russian novel. Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Domestication works the same way. To succeed, a species has to pass every single test. Fail one, and it's out forever. And the tests were mapped out long before Diamond. Back in 1865, the Victorian scientist Francis Galton wrote about the first steps toward domesticating animals. He noticed that humans have tried to tame almost everything, everywhere, for thousands of years, and that only a tiny handful of species ever crossed the line. So what are the tests? An animal has to eat cheap food you can supply. It has to grow fast enough to be worth feeding. It has to breed happily in captivity, in front of you. It has to have a calm temperament. It must not panic and stampede when it's fenced in. And ideally, it should live in a herd with a leader, because if it follows a leader, it will follow you. Now, hold a rhinoceros up against that list. Watch what happens. Test 1. Diet. A white rhino eats around 50 kilograms of grass a day. Enormous, but survivable. Let's give it a pass. Test 2. Growth rate. And this is where it collapses. A cow is ready for slaughter in about 18 months. A rhino takes 6 to 7 years just to become an adult. Imagine feeding 50 kilos of food a day, every day, for 7 years before you get anything back. No Neolithic farmer on Earth could afford that. Test 3. Breeding. A cow gives you a calf every single year. A rhino is pregnant for around 16 months. 16. And then it produces 1 calf. And then it waits 2 to 4 years before doing it again. Do the maths on a farm. In the time 1 rhino delivers a single calf, a cow has delivered 4 or 5. Test 4. Temperament. A black rhino is one of the most aggressive large animals alive. It charges first and identifies later. 2 tons of animal that can hit 30 miles an hour. Test 5. Panic. Rhinos are mostly solitary. They don't have a herd hierarchy to hijack. There's no lead animal to bribe with food, so there's no group to follow you into a pen. The rhino fails almost every test on the list. Not narrowly, catastrophically. So imagine you are there. You're a farmer 10,000 years ago. You've got a fence made of thorn branches. You need to move a 2-ton animal with terrible eyesight and an incredible sense of smell. It hears you before it sees you. And when it can't identify what you are, its instinct isn't to run. Its instinct is to charge. You will not survive many mistakes. Meanwhile, 20 meters away, your neighbor is herding sheep. Sheep that follow each other. Sheep that breed every year. Sheep that will eat almost anything. Sheep that you can carry. Which farm still exists 3 generations later? That's not a choice anyone consciously made. That's a filter. Farms that tried rhinos failed and vanished. Farms that kept sheep survived and spread. And their menu became your menu. But here's where people get confused. Because you can absolutely tame an individual rhino. And we have proof. In 1741, a Dutch sea captain named Douwe Mount Vandermeer arrived in Europe with an Indian rhinoceros. Her name was Clara. And for the next 17 years, Clara toured Europe. She was pulled through cities in a wooden carriage. Crowds queued for hours. Artists painted her. Poets wrote about her. She met kings and emperors. She was reportedly gentle, ate bread and beer, and let people touch her skin. Rhino fever swept the continent. Hairstyles were named after her. So it can be done. But here's the crucial distinction, and it's the whole point. Taming is what you do to an animal. Domestication is what you do to a species. Taming Clara took one man and 17 years of daily work. Domesticating a species means changing its genetics across hundreds of generations until its babies are born ready to live beside you. For a rhino, hundreds of generations is thousands of years of failure, with almost nothing to eat at the end of it. Clara was a miracle. She was also a dead end. But now, here's what's really strange. Because we domesticated her cousin, rhinos belong to a group called the odd-toed hoofed mammals. There are only 3 families left alive in that entire group: rhinos, tapirs, and horses. Same broad branch of the tree of life. We failed with 2 of them, and the third one carried human civilization across continents, into war, into agriculture, into empire. The difference wasn't size or strength. Wild horses lived in herds, with a leader and a hierarchy, which meant a human could step into that hierarchy and become the leader. The rhino is a loner. There's nothing to lead. Same family tree, completely opposite fate. So think about what that means for your dinner. Walk through a supermarket tomorrow. Every animal in that meat aisle was chosen before your ancestors could write their own names. Not one large land animal has been added to that list in around 4,000 years. We have split the atom, mapped the genome, and landed machines on other planets. And we still cannot add a new large animal to the menu. Your food is a Stone Age decision you inherited. But this story has one more turn, and it's the darkest part. Because if we stopped eating rhinos, they should be safe. They're not. At the start of the 20th century, there were around 500,000 rhinos across Africa and Asia. Today, there are roughly 27,000 left. 5 species remain, and 3 of them are critically endangered. The Javan rhino is down to a few dozen animals in a single park. The Sumatran rhino is in a similar place, and the northern white rhino effectively ended in front of us. In March 2018, the last known male, named Sudan, died in Kenya. 2 females remain, a mother and a daughter. Neither can carry a pregnancy. That subspecies is functionally extinct, and it's still breathing. And here's the twist that should stop you cold. None of this was caused by hunger. Rhinos aren't disappearing because anyone wanted the meat. They're disappearing because of the horn. And a rhino horn is not ivory. It isn't bone. It has no magic inside it. It's keratin, the exact same material as your fingernails. The same stuff you clip off and throw in the bin without a thought. At the peak of the trade, some estimates put ground rhino horn above the price of gold by weight. International trade was banned back in 1977 under the CITES Agreement. The killing didn't stop. Poachers dart or shoot the animal, cut off the horn, and walk away. They leave 2 tons of meat lying in the sun. Read that again. The most valuable land animal in the illegal wildlife trade is killed, stripped of a fingernail, and the entire body is abandoned. We are not eating them. We are wasting them. So let's pull all the way back. You started this thinking rhino meat was strange or forbidden or gross. It isn't. It's just food that lost a competition 12,000 years ago. A competition it never knew it entered. And the same is true for everything you do eat. The cow on your plate isn't there because it was the tastiest animal alive. It's there because its wild ancestor happened to breed fast, follow a leader, and stay calm behind a fence. Your entire diet is a list of animals that agreed to our terms. The rhino refused, and that refusal is written into every menu in every country on Earth. Here's the part that should stay with you. For most of our history, the greatest danger an animal faced from us was our hunger. If it was edible, we hunted it. If it was useful, we kept it. That was a rule you could understand. The rhino escaped that rule completely. It was too slow to farm, too dangerous to herd, too stubborn to change. It won. It stayed wild. And then we invented a reason to kill it anyway. Not for meat, not for survival, not for anything real. For a fingernail we decided was precious. The rhino survived the Ice Age. It survived the extinction that swallowed the mammoths. It survived 12,000 years of farmers who couldn't tame it. It survived everything our hunger could do to it. It just couldn't survive our imagination. And that's the uncomfortable thing to carry with you tonight. We never learned to stop eating dangerous animals. We just learned to want stranger things.